Hi, I'm Derrick.
And I'm Shila, and we're Fire Ecology Learning Lab ambassadors from the Southwest Fire Science Consortium and the Arizona Wildfire Initiative.
Today we will be walking through the kindergarten and second grade Informal Educator Kit.
Before we get into the lesson, a couple of notes on the classroom dynamics and developmental stages of students K through 2, as well as our trauma-informed approach.
There are two letters, one to be sent to teachers during the early stages of outreach and one to be sent home with students to inform parents. This is a good thing to keep in mind while you are teaching, as affected students or teachers may want to still hear the lesson.
A lesson on fire ecology has the potential of triggering past trauma in individuals who have had negative experiences with wildfire. In an effort to bring kindness and awareness to the center of this conversation, these letters aim to identify any student or teacher who may not want to participate in this lesson and give them an early opportunity to sit this one out. K through 2 students are energetic and have shorter attention spans, so you'll want your lesson to be exciting and dynamic. Some examples are altering your speaking voice's speed, volume, and tone throughout the presentation, taking a stretch break if you notice you're losing them, and building movement into your program. Due to that short attention span, introduce things one at a time and ask focused questions. Also, be prepared to get students back on track. For example, you can say, "I would love to hear all of your stories, but let's wait until we're all done with the lesson." K through 2 students enjoy praise, so acknowledge good behavior when you see it. For example, you can say, "I like how Ricardo is sitting so quietly with his hand raised." K through 2 students are learning to play cooperatively and can be concerned with perceptions of fairness. Be specific when asking students to participate or when passing objects around the room. If a student has raised their hand multiple times without getting selected, recognize them and thank them for being patient.
The classroom teacher in all grades will be responsible for most disruptive situations. Communicate your expectations for the teacher before class begins. An example would be dividing students into groups for group activities. Set clear expectations for the students and remember you will need to repeat them. You can also ask students about the norms in their classrooms. The younger the students, the harder transitions will be, and the more you may rely on the teacher to facilitate these in particular. Ask the teacher beforehand about established attention getters and how they would like to move students around during the lesson. Also, since the COVID-19 pandemic affected this generation of students and their educational journeys, it has been observed that many more students are drawing their ideas instead of writing and reading at a lower level on average. When first arriving at the school, check in at the front office. Go over classroom dynamics such as establish attention getters with the teacher and set up your materials in a way that is intuitive to you. Write your name and the vocabulary words on the board if you would like. Take a look and find a spot that will work to have students sit for the story time, and be sure to lay materials where students can't see or reach to avoid early distraction.
When first addressing the class, introduce yourself, your job, your agency, and how it relates to wildfire and protecting special places outside. A quick felt tip, use thesis statements to keep yourself and your audience on track. For example, today we are going to talk about special outside places and the things that you and I can do to protect those places. Or, when I put on my uniform, it reminds me of the job I do to protect special places outside. Next, define and discuss habitat and examples from the biotic community in their local area. A quick felt tip, K through 2 students also love movement, so feel free to incorporate fun, interactive parts like this. What does an animal get from its habitat? Food, water, shelter, and space. First up, your job. Talk about your unique work in fire and how the props you brought relate to helping plants and animals in their habitat. A quick felt tip: to keep students engaged, ask for a volunteer to put on your uniform or display the tools or props you brought to the class. For example, I'm looking for a volunteer who is good at listening to instructions. Next, explore other outdoor and wildfire careers. There are multiple props in this kit that are essential tools for wildland firefighters. This part can be optional if you want to use the majority of this time exploring your own career, but just in case, here's a recap of the gear included. Explore other outdoor careers with the magnetic dolls. There are 4 dolls and each has various props that you can attach to the dolls to give them a career. These dolls can be interpreted in creative ways, and remember to let the students have their own ideas before giving an answer. Many different agency uniforms are depicted in the magnetic dolls, including the USDA Forest Service, National Park Service, U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, and more. A quick felt tip: for younger students, do the doll exploration with the entire class. Older students may do this in small groups.
Move students so that you can easily show the flip book to all of them and pass props around. You can sit on a chair and have them sit cross-legged in a semicircle or take advantage of any storytime area the teacher may already have. Read the storybook with them and use the items in your magical backpack to help you resolve any challenges you encounter. An example for a storytime page may look like this. We pitch our tent, which my grandpa says is a funny word for setting up your tent. When we started, there were poles and fabric all over, but my grandpa was good at pitching the tent. Now the tent looks like a tiny house. Now it is dark. What can I use to help me see? So I can reach into my magical backpack and begin to pull out props. Does a binocular help me see? Yeah, but in the dark? No. I pull out a first aid kit. Does a first aid kit help me see in the dark? No. From my magical backpack, I pull out my flashlight. Does my flashlight help me see? Yeah, in the dark. A helpful tip here is to use the different environments and animals presented in the storybook to discuss habitat again. This is a pretty natural way to make this connection, and many kids know more than they think about habitats when it is introduced in a familiar setting, like their backyard or camping. The campfire section is also a fabulous opportunity to discuss fire safety and when fires are good. Now we are on to the letter writing section of the lesson. Students will need a place to see the board, so their desks are best. Keep it simple and fun. Define community and write it on the board if you would like. Begin brainstorming on the board with students about things they can do to help their habitats, communities, or other special outdoor places. A quick felt tip: if you are struggling with time or holding the attention of the students, capture the conversation on the board of what individual students shared in the discussion. Begin writing a letter on the board, including and identifying all the different structural parts of a letter. Some students may not have had any experience with a letter yet, such as a kindergarten class. There still is value in exposing students to different uses for reading, writing, and learning to communicate their ideas. Summarize the ideas of the students about actions they can take to help their special outdoor places in this letter.
Thank the students and their teacher. If you have cool items to pass out, wait until this point in the lesson so that you aren't distracting students earlier. This will be a reminder of our time together and the things that we can all do to care for our communities, our habitats, and our special outdoor places. That is the kindergarten through 2nd grade Fire Ecology Learning Lab kit. If you need any more resources, have any questions about these kits, or need any assistance with outreach or acquiring a kit, please reach out to the Southwest Fire Science Consortium.